Right, that shows up on Facebook as well. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, YouTube. Morning, Ali Watson. Morning, Brian. Morning, Sandra. Morning, Jim. Morning, Jill. Morning, Lenny. Morning, Graham. Morning, Graham. Austin. Robert. Harry. Tommy. Brian. Numbers are starting to climb. He's a minute to get on board. Morning, Fiona. Morning, Eddie. Morning, Ted Boy. Evelyn. Christine. Right, where are we? That's 100 of you on board, so let's get this broadcast underway. Andy Truck Davy out the truck and at home in his office in Salisbury, North Lanarkshire, where it is overcast, wet, 11 degrees. That's the weather forecast for Salisbury, North Lanarkshire. If you want to know the weather forecast, if you want to know what the weather's like where you are, look at your own bloody Monday. Right, let's stop stuttering about here. New pad today. Let's get underway. This is a news review for the 19th of the 10th, 2022. Better known to you and me as yesterday. Alright, now Wednesday's papers, the rags. Wednesday was not really different from any other day this week. PM fights to save a premiership and Chancellor considers scrapping triple lock on pensions. Alright, so Monday had seen the Chancellor rip up Trussonomics and consign Truss's premiership to the bin in a very British backstabbing coup. By Tuesday, the Chancellor had effectively taken over Truss. Truss is now PM in name only. Gets a wee bit more interesting that on Wednesday though, as Truss tries to bite back. Alright, so Wednesday, and Liz Truss is on the ropes, effectively replaced by a traditional old school scumbag Tory. The Chancellor, Jeremy Hunt, is a right monster. And he'll do what's needed to calm the markets, and if that means consigning another 300,000 to their deaths by austerity 2.0, then that's what he'll do. Alright. Hunt will quite happily scrap the triple lock on pensions, as he hinted on Monday and Tuesday. Right, moving on, and another blow to Truss. A poll released Wednesday morning giving Truss the worst ever negative ratings for any PM since the polling started. Now, the poll puts Truss's positivity rating at -70. Oh, in the eyes of the public, Truss is toast. Right, also Wednesday, wee slimy backstabbing snake, Michael Gove, pens an article in the Times telling its readers that Truss's days as PM are numbered. Well, we all know that, it's just a matter of how long, eh? Rumour has it she's waiting, trying to hold out for the 2 months so she gets the 115,000 annual PM pension for the rest of her life. Well, we'll see. Right, so chaos is what we've got across Little England and in the House of Thieves and Carpetbaggers on Wednesday. That goes the same for Tuesday, same for Monday, same for last week, same for the week before. Okay, so Wednesday back here in Scotland, and the Morning Pravda reports are full of A&E waiting times and BBC Scotland's work of fiction on Ferrygate. BBC Scotland, on behalf of the British state, have set themselves on a route to make the Scottish Government look as incompetent as the House of Thieves and Carpetbaggers. Anyway, they're failing. And why are they failing with SNP Green Government bad stories here in Scotland? Well, because the crap that's coming out of the Pravda doesn't match up to how we see our own country and our experiences of living here in our everyday life. So that's why the Pravda isn't actually managing to make inroads in the popularity of the Greens and the SNP. We get a bit more of that as we get towards the end of the report. But anyway, in order to try and make the Scottish Green Government, the SNP Green Government look competent, they're going after Ferguson Marine and the Ferrygate saga. The BBC create a work of fiction that they call a documentary. slating the ferry fiasco, right? But this sees the executives at Ferguson Marine, Seamal, and Calmac all come out and say that the BBC documentary was a work of fiction. So the propaganda machine is producing works of fiction in order to discredit the Scottish government. As I say, but it's not working. People are not buying any crap that comes out of the Pravda anymore. BBC Scotland is an irrelevance in Scotland. They're trying hard on behalf of the British state to make Scotland look bad and make the people of Scotland believe that our services are crap. Not working. The NHS waiting times up here might be bad at the moment, 64.3% of people being seen in the 4-hour window. But that's far superior to what's going on down that road and in Wales. And it's improving all the time. Some figures released by the BBC yesterday says there's 7 million people down that road waiting up to 2.5 years for treatment. 6 million waiting up to a year. 4 million waiting up to the 18 weeks that they're supposed to be seen in. And 2 million being seen in less than the 18-week period. So their NHS down that road's a mess. A real mess. We know because Trust tell us that their NHS infrastructure is 40 bits. She tell us. During the hustings when she was trying to get herself elected as a PM. So their NHS down there is doing absolutely woefully. And here we've got the Pravda up here trying to tell us it's crap. Oh, fish. Same with public services right across the board. We'll get better public services right across the board, but we'll get a wee bit more of that further in. All right. Also Wednesday, it's 1 year away from the First Minister's proposed date for Indy Rev 2. The First Minister tells Scots that the case for the Union has collapsed, and she points to the House of Thieves and Carpetbaggers and tells Scots we can do so much better than that. That's after she publishes a prospectus for a wellbeing society on Monday. Now, it's been stated in the polls that if the First Minister was to put forward a wellbeing economy for Scotland going forward as an independent nation, then 61% of the people in Scotland would vote for independence. So, of course, they're crapping themselves. So, also Wednesday here in Scotland, Dougie the flip-flop dross tells whoever will listen to the irrelevant twit that the First Minister's plans for an Indy Scotland would see Scotland end up like Venezuela or Zimbabwe. Dross is on about the continued use of sterling to a new Scottish domestic currency is launched. The people need to understand that every country, or almost every country, has its own domestic currency, but generally international trade is carried out using currencies in the basket of what they call reserve currencies. These currencies are seen to be stable around the world. Okay, a prime example of that is oil and gas is traded in the dollar. The dollar is the most traded currency around the planet. All right, so the basket of reserve currencies is made up of the United States dollar, the Great British pound, although it's on its way out by the looks of it, the euro, the yen, the renminbi, whatever the hell that is, and the Canadian dollar, the Swiss franc, and the Australian dollar. So these 8 currencies are the most used in international trade. So when it comes to launching the domestic currency, that's exactly what it is. It's generally just used in your domestic market. When you're doing big international trade, then generally they use one of these so-called safe currencies and the stable of reserve currencies. As I say, but the pounds, it's now at the level of emerging currency, so it's not seen as being as stable, and it's certainly not trading well at the moment. And that gets worse when Trust stands up at PMQs. So, anywho, Dross is talking Dross. We'll be fine with sterlinisation for a short period of time anyway. So, but as we all know, if Scotland withdrew its assets from sterling right away, the currency would collapse and we would have an even worse basket case next door, which wouldn't be good for us. Yeah, well. But that basket case next door means we're going to need a border and a border crossing points actually, because there'll be that many fleeing for doing that road. We won't be able to accommodate them, so we're going to have to get immigration policies and border crossing points in place, quick style. Right, moving on. Wednesday lunchtime comes around and Prime Minister's questions is on. First up, to have a go at Truss with Starmer, and he asked about a book being penned about Truss, and asked, is it out by Christmas, or is that the title, out by Christmas? Starmer then rips a new one over the chaos she has created in the markets. He spoke of the many U-turns by the new de facto PM, Jeremy Hunt, and then he goaded her into contradicting the new Chancellor by stating on record that the triple lock on pensions stay in place. Truss, by stating that, was wrestling some of the power back for Jeremy Hunt. Where does it go for here? Will Hunt contradict her and end the triple lock on pensions? He might well do. After all, she's basically powerless. So, you never know. Anyway, next up was Ian Blackford, and he went on the triple lock on pensions, and he said, can she ask the Chancellor to her left, basically the new de facto Prime Minister, if it was all right to keep the triple lock on pensions? Truss doubles down and saying the triple lock stays. Jeremy Hunt didn't know it best chuffed. Jeremy Hunt didn't know it best chuffed. Anyway, Blackford went on energy costs, interest rates, inflation, and he asked the PM why ordinary people should pay for her mistakes. Truss doubles down on protecting the triple lock, and then says to Blackford, if he's concerned about the economy, why does he advocate for separatism? I think the term is independence, actually. Anyway, she then states Scottish independence would do irreparable damage to the UK economy. Aye, it will. But what she really meant was it would do irreparable damage to the English economy. It would no longer have Scotland's assets to prop it up. It would no longer have Scotland's vast tax revenues, which don't come back to Scotland, to prop it up. And it wouldn't have Scotland's credit card to run big debts up on. So she's right. It would be chaos for our UK. It'll be all right for Scotland. We'll be fine. Couple of tough years as we sort things out. But nothing as bad as what it would be as staying in this bloody broken union. Right, moving on. So Truss was slaughtered at PMQs. What she did do, as I say, is she wrestled some power back from the new Chancellor Hunt. Or has she? As I say, that remains to be seen. Right, moving on. Wednesday goes from bad to worse for Truss as Suella Braverman resigns as Home Secretary. Her reason for quitting is a breach of the Ministerial Code. She sent a draft document of her proposed bill to via private email account to another MP. Now, it's believed that Suella Braverman was actually pushed in a row over immigration with Liz Truss and Jeremy Hunt, because they want to go back on their pledges to clamp down on immigration and ship in more people for the rest of the world to cure the market's problems in the labour market. And Suella Braverman wanted to cut immigration. So there was a ding-dong between her and Truss, and it's believed Braverman was actually pushed and didn't resign. All right, but imagine all the racist Brexiteers doing that road, finding out that they get rid of all the Polish plumbers to have them replaced by Indian plumbers. Mental. Anyway, in her resignation letter, Suella Braverman, she takes a swipe at Truss and the party. She states she has resigned as she feels people should own their mistakes and do the right thing. A direct hit on Truss, basically telling Truss she should resign. She also takes a swipe at the Cabinet and wider Tory party, saying this is not how politics should be done and that politics is a serious business. Wow. Basically called them all clowns as she walked away. Said politics is a serious business and this lot no serious apparently. Right, anyway, Grant Sharp, the Heart was get, he's promoted to Home Secretary. So now Truss is starting to be surrounded by people who don't like her, don't want her. Will there be an exodus of other ministers from the cabinet now that Beverman's taking the step? Well, that's what happened with Johnson, wasn't it? One went and they started to topple. So we'll see what happens during the course of today's mayhem. All right, moving on. Still down that road, Wednesday. There's a vote on fracking. The vote is being seen as a confidence vote on Truss's premiership. All right, a 3-line whip is issued to Tory MPs to vote against the Labour proposal to reintroduce the moratorium on fracking. There are a number of Tory MPs who are anti-fracking were going to vote with Labour, but in the end, 40 of them didn't vote. Other Tory MPs were dragged down the lobby, harangued, harassed, and bullied into voting. Voting down the Labour motion to put the moratorium and fracking back in place down that road. All right. Now, scenes inside Westminster last night were a bloody disgrace. People being jostled, manhandled, being swore at, being dragged into the lobby to vote. That's not how things are supposed to be done. Anyway, it was cries of bullying were echoing around the chamber, and people were being physically manhandled into the lobbies. It was reported that one Tory MP was in bloody tears. Unbelievable. Right. It was also rumoured at one point that the Chief Whip and Deputy Chief Whip had resigned and then had reinstated himself, basically. Unbelievable. The Tories vote down the Labour proposed moratorium on fracking by 326 votes to 230 votes. The fallout of the bullying in the lobby and the vote being first seen as a confidence vote and then not being seen as a confidence vote sees the Tory party shred itself in tatters. All right, and to make matters worse for the government, the Speaker of the House, Lindsay Useless Hoyle, launches an inquiry into the omni-shambles that went on the fracking vote on Wednesday night. To say 40 Tory MPs abstained on the vote, they now face disciplinary hearings from the Tory party. Talk about meltdown upon meltdown upon meltdown. Also Wednesday, as Truss is contradicted some new Chancellor on the triple lock, it shakes the markets and the pound drops against the dollar. It received a lot of, it recovered a little and settled at £1 to $1.12. So she'd wiped up a cent off the value of the pound just by getting to her feet in the Commons. Mental. Right. So that was basically yesterday in a nutshell. SNP Green government bad, NHS Scotland failing, and the omni-shambles that went on down the road, and the continued cycle drama that is the Tory party. And Ross voted against banning fracking in England. Right. But now, to wind up this report, I want to get back to something that I would have been reporting on yesterday if something hadn't come up and I couldn't put my report out. New child poverty figures are out. It doesn't make good reading. The child poverty rate in England is 29%. The child poverty rate in Northern Ireland and Wales is 24% of all children living in poverty. The poverty rate in Scotland of children is 21%. Not good, but it shows that the policies being carried out by the Scottish Government to try and aid, lift children out of poverty are working. So we get things like the longer a period of early learning, allowing more parents back into the workplace. We have the obvious £25 uplift called the child benefit here in Scotland. The baby box, mitigation of the bedroom tax, lower council tax. All these things are helping to keep children out of poverty in Scotland. And we will probably be able to do much better once we're independent. But what this report does tell us is that the English government are failing the children of England, and it's due to the voting intentions of their own peoples that see their own children in poverty. They have got the worst rate down there at 29%. So let's go round these islands and round it up. So we can say that 1 in 3 children in England live in abject poverty. 1 in 4 in Northern Ireland and Wales, because we round that up to a quarter, 24 to 25. And we can say that roughly 1 in 5 children in Scotland are living in poverty. And the poverty rate for children here in Scotland is 8% lower than what it is in England, and 3% lower where it is in Northern Ireland and Wales, because the Scottish Government has prioritised lifting children out of poverty. Now, they haven't quite met their targets, but that's down to Westminster and the actions taken by that shower of shite down there that we don't vote for. But when we look at it in the round, it's an absolute disgrace. A third of children in poverty in England. A third of all children. A quarter in Wales and in Northern Ireland. And a fifth of children in Scotland. And we can lay it all basically at the door of Westminster. And we can lay it mainly at the feet of the voting intentions of the people of England, who have voted consistently to drive their own children into poverty. That is absolute madness. And the poverty rate of children in the UK is an absolute disgrace. I don't know how many of these reports I can read, to be honest with you. My heart is breaking. And I mean that. That's a fucking disgrace. A real disgrace. And we're doing better than anybody else. A fifth of your children live in poverty. And an asset-rich country like Scotland. And the idiots down that road keep voting to put their own children into poverty. It breaks your heart, folks. Breaks my fucking heart. Right. So I had to talk about that one. These figures were released Tuesday. I would have been speaking about them yesterday, but I couldn't let them know we spoke about, because the Pravda is no telling you about it, folks. That's why I go through all these bloody reports. I'm surprised I'm no manically depressed, actually. They want to get angry and rant, folks. When you think about it, 1 in 3 children in England in poverty, 1 in 4 in Wales and Northern Ireland, and 1 in 5 in Scotland. And such a rich society, rich country is Scotland. It's not on. We need independence. We have to get away from these lunatics that keep voting to inflict poverty on their own bloody children. That's going to be the very definition of fucking madness. They should all go to the naughty state. Feckin' idiots. Their voting intentions put their own children into poverty. Despair. Right, let's move on and see what the papers are going to say today. No, I can tell you now. Every one of them is going to say trust his arses out the window. Oh. UK government in chaos after Home Secretary's exit. The eye has chaos at the heart of UK government. What's new there? House of Thieves and carpetbaggers is full of talentless prats, as Steve Walker was telling us last night. 21 years an MP, a Tory MP, and he said he's fed up with talentless leaders. That's a great indictment to the idiots down the road who voted them in. The Daily Telegraph has Braverman exit rocks government on day of chaos at Westminster. The Scottish Daily Mail has Suella's 90-minute shouting match with Liz Truss. Braverman quits as Home Secretary, then plunges a knife into PM. Sharp replaces her, despite plotting against Truss. Chief Whip resigns amid chaotic late-night vote. And the final astonishing revelation. There you go. The Times has Truss faces more turmoil after sacking Braverman. So there we go. The Times has confirmed she didn't resign, she was sacked. And apparently there's a scandal in the NHS down that road, which is seeing kids dying in the maternity units. The Scotsman has Braverman out as civil war engulfs Tory MPs. Chaotic scenes in the lobby as ministers accused of bullying party colleagues. And the Scotsman are running some sort of mad headline saying 1 in 3 yes voters would change over economy. Oh, tush. The other loony rag, the Daily Express, has Truss premiership in meltdown after disgraceful common scenes. Beyond belief, Suella quits, then MPs scuffle and lobby. Now, what's interesting about that headline in the Express, 3 weeks ago they were on the headline that said put our trust in Truss. Jesus Christ. And a true Tory budget when she melted the economy. Ouch. The Metro has Suella mess. Suella mess. The National has this utter shambles can't go on. FM's verdict as vote on fracking ban turns into a night of farce. Chaos came hours after PM lost another government minister. What's the Herald got? Hell Board's order probe into death of newborn babies. So apparently we've got something like that going on here and all. And the Record has Hitman's TikTok shooting boast. What the hell that's all about? Now what's the Star got for us today? The Star has got Lettuce Liz is cut to shreds. PM clings to job after Home Sec quits and blasts her government. Then Tory whip spark melee at Commons over voting fracking. And a Star Veg stating it will, but it still favourite to outlast Truss. So apparently the lettuce they vote is starting to wilt, but it's still favourite to outlast Truss. You've got to love the Star, haven't you? Mental. General strike or maybe even collapse. General election, general strike or collapse, something like that, ain't it? Right, that's what I've got for you today, folks. I'm going to say the thing that really angered me this week was in amongst all the melee and noise, they slipped out the child poverty figures. They say we're doing better in Scotland than anywhere else in these islands, but we're mitigating like hell. We can't keep mitigating, we've got to take back control. So that's where Davy says, get your eyes on the prize. Learn your how ye gonnies and get out there and win hearts and minds. If we can't win hearts and minds at this point in time, then we're on a loser. All right. Also support the independent media, support Broadcasting Scotland, support Independence Live, support Indie Live Radio, support Caledon Media, support Trues Radio, support the iScot magazine, support the national newspaper. Okay, now, there's a guy who's doing a cycle round the UK called Tiny, and he's in Scotland at the moment. He should be around about Perthshire. He's cycling around the UK, so if you see the guy and you can afford to give him a couple of shekels because he's raising money for PTSD, he's an ex-soldier, and even if you need money, say hello to him. All right. Now he's got a Facebook page, and it's called Tiny's GP Cycle Tour. If you're interested, all right. And the other thing today is, of course, we'll get the 2 Davies this afternoon at 4 o'clock. All right. So don't be late. Okay. So as I say, support independent broadcast, independent media. If they've got a crowdfunder on the go and you've got a couple of shekels you can afford to throw in the pot, please do. These people do great work. Okay. And of course, the guidance, all right, what's left here: face coverings and closed public spaces, clean hand surfaces regularly. If you're not feeling well, show some social conscience and mask up and social distance. All right. And if you're still using NHS Larkin flow test, please submit your results, because these people who are using them are generally health and social care workers, and you live in our community, so you're a measure of what's going on in our communities. Okay. Now that's it for the day, folks. As I say, I had to bring up the child poverty figures because they were using the bad news and the chaos at Westminster to hide it. So there you have it. Okie dokie. Right, that's what I've got for you today. Have a nice day. Look after each other. Hard times are already here, never mind coming. Food price inflation's running at 14%. Absolutely mental. So we'll see you at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Those of you who will be coming on to watch the 2 daily stream. As I say, look after yourselves, look after each other, and we'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you this afternoon and then tomorrow, okay? But we'll do it all again. Have a nice